Welcome back to our channel, and welcome back to the Prague series. We spent a lot of time walking around and seeing the sights this city has to offer. On one of the days, we stopped at the St. Nicholas Church. This site used to house a medieval parish in the 13th century, which was demolished much later in 1673. Starting in the 18th century, the current structure was built. It took over 100 years to completely construct this church, and it is now one of the most important Baroque buildings north of the Alps. The inside of this church is immaculate, with beautiful frescoes on the walls and golden statues everywhere. The statues in front of the altar were particularly large, as if they were actually guarding the inner sanctum of this church. Beautiful pink and white marble stone was used as structural supports in shrines, doorways, arches, and in many other features of this building. You really feel like you are in the presence of something great when you are here. The ceiling features a beautiful fresco showing the open heavens. There's so much to see inside this church. From St. Nicholas, we made our way out of the lesser town to the old town, where we stopped at the Powder Tower. This huge black tower has its origins back in the 11th century, when it stood as one of the 13 gate towers into the city of Prague. From the 18th century onwards, it was used to store gunpowder, giving it the apt name of the Powder Tower. If you are willing to climb the 186 steps to the top, this tower can give you some beautiful views of the Prague Castle and Old Town. Walking further east and closer to the main train station, we found ourselves looking at the State Opera House, the new National Museum, and the Narodny Museum, or the Grand Museum. These centers of culture are right near Wenceslas Square, where you can also find several options for shopping, dining, and entertainment. From there, we made our way back through the old town towards the Charles Bridge. Before we reached the bridge, we stopped at the Church of St. Salvator, a 17th century church connected to the Clementinum complex. See our previous video on the Clementinum for more information on this building. From there, we found ourselves near the Vltava River and right next to the Charles Bridge. We are on the Charles Bridge, one of the iconic places in Prague that you have to visit. This bridge spans the river and is filled with all of these amazing statues. This bridge was commissioned by King Charles in 1357 to replace the previous bridge that stood on this spot. The 30 statues standing on this bridge were added in the 18th century, all depicting angels, saints, and other religious figures. These statues have all since been replaced by replicas. This bridge is one of the most visited attractions in Prague. With the river flowing peacefully below and the breeze blowing down through the valley, you really get a sense of peace here, even while you are still in the hustle and bustle of the city. The next day, we decided to take a little excursion that would lead us up one of the large hills surrounding the city. Our main goal was to see the Petrin Tower. This tower is high up on a hill, so you can either walk all the way up, or you can take the funicular railway. This railway goes from the street level up to the top of the hill and back, and it costs 60 Czech crowns for one person one way. The funicular ride took about 5 minutes, but it gave us some great views of the parks and restaurants on the side of the hill. After exiting the railway, we found ourselves in the Petrin Gardens, a beautiful rose garden that is well manicured and maintained. We followed some beautiful pathways until we reached the tower. The tower itself is rather small compared to some other towers, but when added to the height of the hill it sits on, it's roughly 378 meters above the river, giving you a vantage point similar to that of the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Nearby there are several attractions, including the St. Lawrence Church and a mirror maze that was constructed on this hill for the 1891 Prague exhibition. Instead of taking the funicular train back down the hill, we decided that we would walk down to see some of the beautiful paths back to the river. Some of these sections were rather steep, so we would only recommend doing this if you are of good health and do not have any trouble walking. Kind of treacherous, isn't it? Yeah. After reaching the main road again, we started to make our way back to the Charles Bridge, passing by the Lenin Wall on the way. Located among several different foreign embassies, locals used this wall originally to write love poems and short condemnations of certain government actions, starting way back in 1960. After John Lennon's assassination, a single unknown painter painted his picture on this wall with some music lyrics, and since then it became known as the Lenin Wall. Over the years, the wall has been transformed many times, but it has always defaulted back to being a wall where locals and foreigners alike would graffiti messages relating to local and global causes, as well as the condemnation of war and government. Before going back down to the Old Town, we decided to stop for a bite to eat and a beer right near the Charles Bridge. We made our way into the Old Town of Prague. As we walked, we passed by the Franz Kafka residence and the astronomical clock tower. This clock was built in 1410, making it the oldest functional astronomical clock in the world. The clock is located on the side of the old City Hall and includes everything from the time, to the date, to the zodiac, as well as depictions of the 12 apostles. From there we passed on to the Church of Our Lady Before Teen, a 14th century landmark with ornate exteriors. This church towers over the main square and can't help but be noticed. So right now we're just back at our hotel. We took a little bit of a nap, laid down a little bit, because honestly we were pretty tired out from this morning and afternoon. I'm having a little bit of coffee, Catherine's getting ready, and then we are going out to dinner to a very highly rated restaurant. I don't remember the name right now, but we're going out to dinner there, and then afterwards, Catherine's really excited about this, but we're going to the Hemingway Bar, which is, for some reason, there's a bar just named after Hemingway that's really big into mixology, and apparently they have some really cool cocktails, so we're excited to check that out as well. We talk a little bit more about the experience at the Hemingway Bar in our other videos. You can find a link down below.
All right, we had a great time in Prague, but now we have to catch an Uber to the train station and then head back to Munich.
The Prague main station is extremely modern and had several attractions in the departure hall to keep us busy. Eventually, we got onto our, again, way too crowded train and started the long journey back to Munich. The ride was pleasant until the train was raided by German border guards. Then things started to get interesting. Alright guys, well we are back from Prague. We had a great time. Our trip back was a little bit harrowing. A lot happened that we were not expecting. So I think we'll just make another video about the train ride between Munich and Prague and about that service, because it's interesting. So we have a lot to say about it. So, but yeah, so we're back in Munich. Thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to check out our other videos, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Make sure you check out all the other videos in our Prague series. The link is in the description down below. Thanks for watching this video.